The Ghana Police Service is warning constituency executives of the MPP against deviant behaviors during the conduct of this constituency's polls across the country. Director of Operations at the Police Service, DCOP Mohammed Suraj, who is in charge of the Ablekuma North constituency elections, observed that any party member who fails to comply with the rules will be made to face the law. Speaking to Joy News, he indicated that the police has revised its security arrangement to ensure law and order during the conduct of the constituency polls.
As you rightly said, when you plan, you always go back to revise the operation to suit the demands. We have information that this constituency has a record of, violence in the past, or it's a hotspot. So we decided to plan accordingly by taking security measures proactively. As you can see, we've deployed to secure the venue where the election will take place. And even before coming at the junction, you saw our motorbikes also deployed. And then the combat teams from the Accra region and then the National Operation Department working together to ensure that there's also orderly parking of cars, there's good access, and also working with the chairman of the committee here. And the two municipal chief executives are also here. The electoral officers are also here. And the MPs. We are now inviting the coordinators.
Okay.
So what we want to do is engagement. We want all stakeholders to have a meeting with us. Security is a collective and shared responsibility. So police are here to ensure the security, but we can't do that effectively without, having a coordinated meeting with all the stakeholders. As you can rightly see, they are here. The district commander. We just engage them to play by the rules. Ensure that no motorbikes are allowed 100 meters radius from here, and they are complying. No cars should park within here. Contestants can come and alight, and then the vehicles move, except police vehicles. And all the aspirants will be brought in by their coordinators. You don't come in. All other people who are not wanted, they will be politely told to leave. And the implications of any actions they may take, which is infraction of the law. So we're doing this engagement first before taking action. And that is exactly what you saw.
Okay, now finally, one would ask that yesterday at Bobuashi, it was a chaotic scene. How is the police seeking to ensure there is peace and order? Is there an assurance that here at Odoko there will be peace and order?
It will. It will. You cannot have absolute election without some sort of infraction. It's a human institution. But however, as you saw, 4 arrests were made currently at Accra region, and action is being taken. You'll be surprised to know that most of them were party executives.
Right.
I would have wished that as executives they would have served, good conduct worthy of emulation. And so that's why I made appeal here to the coordinators. We've revised our notes and we are engaging the party to be responsible and be accountable and ensure that their men play by the rules. If you don't, we'll take appropriate action.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for the area, Sheila Battell, says the names of delegates removed from the register has been resolved, a move she believes douses any agitations from the delegate.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your listeners. I think if you look around us, you can see that we are getting ready to start our program today. And despite the misconception that Ablekuma North is violent and all of that, you can see a very peaceful atmosphere here. The security police are here and they are here to support us to ensure that everything goes on smoothly. So we expect a very peaceful day, a very successful day.
There are claims in other constituencies about names of all delegates that have been missing from the album. Do we have such a situation here in Ablekuma North?
So the elections committee, after the presentation of the final album to the region, has already displayed the album to aspirants and constituency executives. So any outstanding issues have already been discussed, and we know what to expect as far as those few album issues are concerned, so that we will not disenfranchise anyone.
So that has been resolved or is being addressed?
That one is being addressed.
It's being addressed.
Yes.
So there wouldn't be any
because
issue.
there were 1 or 2 issues that came up after the album had been presented.
Okay.
But knowing that these are people who are supposed to be in there, but for one reason or the other are missing, we have already discussed it with the elections committee. We have agreed to ensure that those people are so that it will be resolved later for the national.
So let's go live to our reporter on the ground, Parker Wilson, where he's been to find out what's happening there. Now, Parker, where have you been and what's the situation on the ground?
All right, so Braze, I've been to the Ablekuma North constituency this morning, and currently I am at the Ayawaso North constituency where voting is underway. And I must say that the electoral officer, before the start of the process, gave some kind of education and walked the agents through what they should expect, so that in case they see anything happening, they will have a better appreciation of the process. So the EC officer is here. The security personnel are here. I can tell you that the heavy security presence to ensure law and order. The delegates would have to go through about 2 security checkpoints before gaining access to the voting center, because the police doesn't want any surprises. So if you don't have any accreditation, you are not allowed entry to the voting premises or the voting center. Pastor Watson is the electoral officer for the Ayawaso North Municipal Assembly, and he's here with me. Sir, thank you very much for your time. Now, first of all, I want to know how many people have voted so far?
Thank you very much for this question. I want to say good morning to all viewers all over Ghana and Ayawaso North Municipal. So far, we can say that we have about 120 delegates have passed through the voting process successfully.
But have you had any challenges as far as this election is concerned?
Thank you very much. So far, there will not be any skirmish or challenge. Everything is under control. You know, in as much as the Electoral Commission is concerned, especially Ayawaso North Municipal, we believe in and taking people through the process of election, letting them know the whims and caprices of the work being done by the Commission, so that they'll have an in-depth understanding of the process. In as much as possible, they are also stakeholders of the elections, because successful election is not only done by Electoral Commission, it's all a sundry on board. So I made them to understand that they are playing a cogent role to bring this election of the executive constituency elections of constituency or the Ayawaso North to a success today, because without them we cannot be successful, because we need them as they need us. Thank you very much.
All right, so that's Pastor Watson there, the electoral officer for the Ayawaso Municipal Assembly. He's the one in charge, and clearly it's been a success for him. He's expecting that by 3 p.m. He would end the polls, but he actually issued a warning. He said, let me ask him, before the start of the election, he said of the voting, he said that at 3 p.m. you are ending the polls. Have you changed your mind, or when people are in the queue, you allow them to vote till the end of the day?
Thank you very much, Mr. Parker, for this good question. The fact of the issue is that, the process ought to commence at 9 a.m. Right. And with the Electoral Commission, we were here exactly 8 a.m. waiting for the party and their delegates to come so that we start the voting process. But it seems they were having 1 or 2 putting things together. So we actually start around 10. But as we speak, by law, if we are voting and there are people in the queue, irrespective of the fact that the voting process will end 3 p.m., so far as they are in the queue, they will continue to vote. But what will happen is that we will get a Peace Corps to stand at the back of the last delegate, so that we'll see all the delegates through before we end the poll.
All right. Thank you very much once again, Apostle Watson. So what you're hearing in the background is one of the election committee officers calling the polling station executives to bring their members to come and cast their ballot. So that is how the process is being done. It is not as yesterday when all the delegates had to muster up or queue up at the voting booth to go and vote. This time, what they're doing is that they call polling station by polling station. So if they mention your name, you come with the members within the polling station. If there are 20, they come and they cast their vote. If there are 30, they come and they cast their vote. So far, I can say that the process has been smooth and there hasn't been any challenges so far.
Before you left Ablekuma, how was the situation and how many people had voted as of the time you were leaving?
At the time I left Ablekuma, the director of operation, DCOP Mohammed Sraj, was now trying to engage the electoral coordinators, the member of parliament, to ensure how the conduct of the polls will be. So at the time I left, they hadn't commenced the voting. They were looking at the security arrangement where the delegates were filing and cast their ballots, and the issue about whether or not names have been missing from the album or the register. So these were the issues that they were discussing at the time I left. But there was an assurance that with the security measures put in place, there wasn't going to be any challenges. In fact, just before I came on air, I checked with my sources at the Ablekuma North constituency, and he tells me the process there is equally smooth. People are going through the process safely, just as it's being done here. And so there hasn't been any challenge, there hasn't been any disturbances, no agitation from the delegates whose names were not captured in the voters register. So Ablekuma North, as far as my sources are concerned, the place is equally calm and everything is going on smoothly.
All right, moving on to other stories. Government says all is set for the successful rollout of the electronic transaction levy, the e-levy, come Sunday, May 1. According to the Deputy Finance Minister, John Kuma, the system's preparation for the implementation is about 95% complete. He was speaking to my colleague Benjamin Ahafo on the AM show earlier today. We'll bring you details of that story later. In a group of disgruntled aspirants of the MPP in the Nalerigu-Gambaga constituency in the Northeast region have petitioned the East Mamprosi Municipal Security Council in protest of the venue for the constituency executive elections. The petitioners are rejecting the decision by the Constituency Election Committee to relocate the venue for the exercise on Saturday from Nalerigu, the regional capital, to Langbinsi. The group has described the decision as unacceptable as it is an attempt by some regional executives to manipulate the exercise in favor of their preferred aspirant. In the petition addressed to the Municipal Chief Executive and the Nairi, the group is demanding the intervention of the security services to prevent any disruption of the exercise tomorrow. Speaking to Joy News, the petitioners say they will do everything legally possible to overturn the decision, including preventing the Electoral Commission from moving their materials to the disputed venue. Correspondent Elias Utanko reports.
The petitioners include Dalade Abdul Rashid, Idrisu Hamza, Imuru Majid, Musa Jalil, Idrisu Ibrahim, and Ibrahim Fatima. The others are Haruna Yusuf, Salifu Saibu, Bugri David.
All right, sorry for the hitch there, but let's go back to the e-levy story. What government says all is set for the successful rollout of the electronic transaction levy, the e-levy, come Sunday, May 1. According to Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma, the system preparation for the implementation is about 95% complete. He was speaking to my colleague Benjamin Ahafo on the AM show earlier today.
We are 95% ready. So the 48 hours should make it 100%.
So we are 95% ready, and the next 48 hours will be 100% ready.
Yes, we are rolling out, God willing, May 1st. The e-levy is coming on live. It is also not true. Let me try to respond to the propaganda out there that e-levy is going to tax churches and mosques for their tithe and offerings. That's a complete lie and falsehood, and I encourage people to disregard that claim. There's no truth in that statement. E-levy does not affect churches, their offerings and tithes or zakat or things like that. So let me put that in perspective.
Dr. Kuma, just to clarify, so, and I listened to that conversation as Sam George and others had them. He specifies that, you know, especially on the back of COVID, some people may not go to church, but they pay their tithes, they pay their offering via Momo. You're aware of that, right? And that is what he was referencing, that if these churches, they may have to use, or if they are not, then it means that if I decide to send, let's say, 200 CDs as offering or tithe, and I am using Momo, 1.5 will hit me, right? But that's supposed to be offering. If I were giving it in church, there would be no 1.5 on it. So that is the context in which some of this is. How is that going to be managed?
Yes, that's the context I completely disagree. First of all, assuming you issued a check for your tithe of, say, 2,000 Ghana cedis, your bank is still going to charge you for your bank charges services for issuing a check. Does it mean that you are being charged for your tithe? Or assuming that I picked my car, bought fuel, and drove to the bank and withdrew 2,000 cedis to go and pay my tithe, the transportation to the bank to do the withdrawal and transportation to the church, is it part of the tithe I'm paying? So this is a complete propaganda just to create unnecessary fear in people. If you decide to pay your tithe of 2,000 Ghana cedis, exactly 2,000 Ghana cedis will go to the church or to the mosque, and it will not be taxed. E-levy is not designed to tax church.
Contributing to the same discussion, petroleum economist Dr. Fiora Champion cautioned that the proceeds from the levy must be applied to the agreed areas for development to build confidence of Ghanaians in the payment of the levy.
Very clear is that trade-off decision has been made, and the sort of the attempt with the good is not stopping us or stopping the policymakers from going ahead and implementing the e-levy in the current format. I mean, those issues I'm pretty sure would be resolved in the months and in the weeks to come. One of the key things a lot of public education to disabuse the minds of consumers on, you know, some of the negative things that are going around within the media space, and to assure people really that two things: the monies that are being collected will be used for the purposes that has been said would be utilized for. That's very, very important in terms of transparency and accountability, and that ultimately ensures that people have confidence in using these Momo services, and that financial inclusion and intermediation doesn't suffer just because of the introduction of this policy.
Now, 51 riders of motorcycles and tricycles have been arrested by the Ashanti Regional Police Command. Authorities say the culprit failed to obey traffic regulations and breached the law. Letters of warning have been issued to serve as deterrent to them and others. There is more in this report by Mona Lisa Frimpong.
The Ashanti Regional Police Command has for weeks now seized unregistered motorbikes and tricycles in the region. 51 riders have so far been arrested. Police say the breach of traffic regulations is the cause of the many fatal accidents recorded in the region. DCOP Kwesi Akumia Apraku is Deputy Regional Police Commander.
Majority of the accidents that do happen are man-made. We have realized that people do not observe the traffic lights when they reach the lights, especially the motor riders. That's why we started this type of operation.
Though the culprits have been released, letters have been issued to them serving as warning.
But because this is the first time we are conducting such an exercise, we have thought it wise to warn them. That's why we are going to give them warning letters, so that if any of them commit such an offense again, automatically he will go to the court.
DCOP Akomia Apraku warns of more arrests. He cautions drivers to be extra vigilant as the police have been deployed to check drivers who fail to obey traffic rules.
We are started. It's not going to be a 9-day wonder. We are going to sustain it to stop that practice from the region. So, by this, warning everybody, not the motorbikes. If you are on the road using a car, tricycle, or anything, you have to observe the traffic lights. If it says stop, you stop. If it says go, you go. Nobody is to violate the light. If you do so and you are caught, we will put you at the right place.
Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
World Malaria Day is observed to raise awareness about the life-threatening disease and make a malaria-free world. Malaria is a preventable and treatable disease, yet it continues to have a devastating impact on the health of people around the world. There is more in this report talking about how we can help fight malaria.
The theme for World Malaria Day 2022 is Harness Innovation to Reduce the Malaria Disease Burden and Save Lives. To commemorate this day, the Ghana Health Service held a symposium to discuss ways of reducing the incidence of malaria in the country. In an interview with Joy News, an epidemiologist, Professor Fred Newton-Binker, said Ghana lacks accurate data on malaria cases because people visit pharmacies and over-the-counter shops when they feel feverish. He therefore called on the Ministry of Health to facilitate a mechanism where all malaria cases can be logged into
National Repository for Malaria Data, because data that comes from the private sector. So if you go to your village, you have malaria, you go to the over-the-counter, the people give you anti-malarials, but they don't report to anybody because we don't have a system to integrate them into our system. So what I'm telling them today is that without the web-based data system, we can never get to zero because we will not know where the malaria is. Even the teaching hospitals' data is not integrated to the national data set. It's unthinkable. I don't think people know about that. So all the 5 teaching hospitals must include their data.
Meanwhile, the program manager for the National Malaria Control Program, Dr. Kezia Mount, says, although malaria is still a leading disease in the country, there has been a decline in cases recorded. She also said the elimination of malaria in the country should be prioritized.
I think over the past few weeks we've mentioned that malaria is still number 1. Overall as a country, I won't attribute it to traditional medicine or anything, but to all the efforts that we are putting in place. Deaths have considerably reduced. In 2017, for instance, we recorded 599 deaths in our health facilities. Last year, recorded 275. We, however, still have huge numbers coming to our outpatient department, and that means we have more work to do.
According to a representative of the World Health Organization in Ghana, Dr. Francis Chikasa Kasolo, malaria eradication was impeded by the COVID-19 pandemic, but the country is back on its efforts to get rid of malaria through the support of the Global Fund.
As you may know, the last 2 years has not been easy with the COVID, and some of the great achievements that have been made across the world in malaria have sort of been slowed down due to the priority in responding to the COVID pandemic. However, I must add that here in Ghana, that has been reversed, and we are back on track to achieving progress in malaria control and indeed elimination.
Remember, zero malaria starts with you, and prevention is better than cure. Tasha Michelle's reports for Joy News.
Now, have you ever wondered why Muslims spend so much time reciting, listening to, and visiting centers for the translation of the Quran in the month of Ramadan? Well, in the following story, my colleague Anas Sabit shares with us one of the standout features of the Muslim Holy Book, a scripture believed to have been revealed to Prophet Muhammad during the month of Ramadan. From Techiman in the Bono East region, here is a report.
شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان.
Muslims believe that in the year AD 610, the angel Gabriel appeared to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and revealed to him the Quran, the Islamic holy book. Muslims fast during this month as a way to commemorate the revelation of the Quran.
The month of Ramadan in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for mankind and clear proof.
Have you ever wondered why Muslims give so much attention to Quranic recitations in the month of Ramadan?
Ramadan rewards are in multitudes. That is why we value Ramadan so much, and we recite so much in Ramadan. And more to the point, during Ramadan you always want to be closer to Allah as you are doing something spiritual. So because of that, you read or you recite Quran so much.
Malan Abdul Hanan Hidr has been reciting the Quran for its translation since he was 12.
I can say 2002-2003 year of Ramadan, I was in this mosque with our Imam, Sheikh Anas Al-Hassan Musa. May Allah accept his soul and grant him Jannat al-Firdaus. And possibly I was doing it before coming to Techiman. So I started reciting Quran by Imams during tafsir around the age of 12 with my real father, Sheikh Hidr of Wa. He has also passed on. May Allah forgive him.
Malam Hanan says even though there are younger children who recite much more beautifully than he does, he's not ready to vacate his recitation seat to any other person.
Yes, that is my motivation. The best among you is the one that can recite the Quran. And I want to be the best among us. I know there are kids who recite now, their voices are very well, they are nicer than mine. But I am not giving them the chance to get closer. So I am still here. I will not expire soon. No, I will not do that.
Deputy Municipal Chief Imam of Al-Sunnah al-Jama'ah, Imam Khalid Umar Farouk, says the regular recitation of the Quran by Muslims in this month of Ramadan is a command from the Almighty God.
Reciting
the Quran is associated with lots of blessings in this holy month of Ramadan. So in short, if you see Muslims reading the Quran in this month, it is purposely because it is a command from the Almighty God and also from the noble Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He however cautioned Muslims to desist from engaging into acts capable of nullifying their fasts. Those who fast and still go about insulting, backbiting, gossiping, and doing all sorts of negative stuff are losing the blessings that comes with the month. If you want to receive the blessings, do not insult, do not lie, do not gossip. You must read the Quran and reflect over its verses, and then do good as well. This will earn you the blessings associated with the month. For now, you should have a fair idea why Muslims spend so much time reciting, listening to, and visiting centers for the recitation of the Muslim holy book, the Quran, in the month of Ramadan. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Now, they came, they saw, and they conquered. And that was how Shammah Senior High School became champions of the APSA Science and Math Quiz Western Zone Championship. Shammah Senior High School earlier denied host and one-time winners of the quiz competition, Ghana Senior Technical School, an opportunity on a national stage after beating them during the regional qualification contest. Against all odds, they beat 2021 zonal title holders Archbishop Potter Girls and St. John's School to become the new APSA NSMQ Western Zone champions. Maswell Agbagba has more from Takrady.
So, Shama Senior High School, this is how they choose to celebrate. Debutant Shama Senior High School managed to beat St. John's, also beat Archbishop Potter Girls to win the title as Western Zone of Champions. This man behind me, this gentleman and ladies behind me cannot control their emotions. It's full of joy and excitement, for them. Earlier, they beat Ghana Secondary Technical School to qualify to the next stage. Let's find out from them what it is like at this point. Hi. Okay.
We are very excited and we won this one and we'll be challenging the other schools and nationals.
Oh, come on. We didn't expect this. We weren't expecting this, and God has been miraculous to us, and we say glory be to God.
Okay.
We are most grateful. That is what we say to God. We are most grateful. That is all.
Give back to win.
See, relax. I'm agreeing. Shas, the icons, relax. And expect more from us.
What should we expect in a national competition?
Just expect the best. Nothing but the best.
My name is Isaac Kwame Namensa, properly known as Balu. I promise to my house. The name of the house is Asimeku. I told them that this year our badge, we will win the National Science and Maths. We did it again.
What should we expect in a national competition?
Tell those there, they came to schools. Yeah, we are coming.
Hi, contestants, tell me.
Actually, it's all good. Everything we did, we just thought we were doing our best, but it turns out God actually had better plans. It was just good.
The best.
Expect the very best. Shama SHS, we are coming like fire.
Coming like fire.
Yeah, coming like fire.
Before we started the zonal championship, we told the other schools in Western region to prepare for Shama because we were coming and we delivered. Now we are making another promise.
Thank you.
All the other schools prepare for Shama because we are coming for the national championship and we are not stopping till we get it. That's all we do.
The APSA Western Zonal Championship just ended. We have a champion, and that champion, Shama Senior High School, they are the winners for the Western Zone APSA Championship. Well, we're lucky to have with us here Samuel Ajo. He's a coordinator for the National Science and Maths Schools. We're here to find out from him what it was like, the qualification contest, and then the APSA Zonal Championship here in the Western region. You're welcome to join me.
Thank you.
Great. You've seen the contest, Shama Senior High School, they are winners for the APSA Western Zone Championship. Are you surprised?
Well, I would say I am surprised in the sense that coming to this competition for 2022, having known them over the years, we weren't expecting them to live up this kind of lift up their game in this manner. In actual fact, they did extremely well. I mean, judging from what they did right from the qualifiers. The qualifiers, they met a stiff opposition in the form of GSTS and other schools, and naturally, we all felt that it was going to be a contest between GSTS and Shama, and of course, we believed that GSTS was going to walk away with the trophy or with the qualification. But to our surprise, Shama put up a splendid performance and beating GSTS very well. I mean, I think 42-30, which was a resounding beating that they gave to GSTS. And GSTS indeed acknowledged that, look, these guys have come along and they have proved their mettle. Then judging, moving on to that, onto having qualified, then we have to move on to the APSA Bank Western Zone Zonal Championship. Then again, they continued their feat, where they also met Secondary College, who also won massively in their qualifying contest with 52 points. So naturally, you would expect that they won, I think, 44 points or so. But naturally, you would expect that it's not going to be easy for Shama.
Well, kudos to Shama Senior High School. They wish them all the best, and to all the schools that have qualified, all the best to you. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you business.
It's time now for business. I am Beverly Broom. Dean of the School of Law at the University of Professional Studies in Accra, Professor Kofi Abochi, says the African Continental Free Trade Area should improve its transparency in its transactions. Such a move, he claims, will build on and speed up the implementation of continental frameworks and other comparable projects. He spoke to Joy Business at the International Lecture on Dispute Settlement under the AFTA and the New African Legal Market. There's more.
According to Professor Abochi, the African Continental Free Trade Area should be resolute in strengthening its values of transparency. This, he believes, will support the structures and systems of the AFCFTA in the decisions with respect to dispute settlement and the new African legal market.
But I guess the point is, in any trading regime, what sustains the regime is a sense of fairness and transparency, a sense of members that they are gaining equally, and that there's egalitarian treatment of all members. And so particularly in respect of disputes. Now disputes are going to come. So the challenge really is how you resolve the dispute. So in terms of disputes and the management of dispute, transparency is a fundamental factor, a fundamental value. And so the suggestion is that the AFCFTA will be better served is the promoter. Now significantly, the AFCFTA itself has adopted transparency as one of its pivotal values. So the suggestion is that the AFCFTA should actually move to bolster the values of transparency by ensuring that the structures and systems and processes that are employed are open, they're transparent, and that parties have an opportunity to not only challenge but verify and review things in case they have difficulties or challenges with some of the decisions of the Dispute Settlement Board.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senor Hosi, explained that the lack of an independent legal system under the AFCFTA will restrain investor confidence.
So you definitely need a lot more confidence in the existing structure. The independence of the structure is very important. The credibility of that structure is equally important. It's quite refreshing seeing the number of mediation opportunities and consultations that exist, but really looking at the structure that requires quite some dependence on governments. These are political, partisan-led governments trying to now enforce or to rather be the ones only with capacity or locus to trigger a resolution at some level of this dispute resolution system is quite scary. So you can imagine if I'm a Ghanaian businessman and I'm not seen as a friend of the government of the time in a highly polarized environment that we find ourselves today. What will become of my economic interests as a Ghanaian? That could pose major challenges for me. And when people see this risk, it will actually inhibit investments or the success of AFTA. So we need to look at that. We need to have a system, a dispute resolution system, a judicial system that engenders a lot more confidence. And that system is not well served if it's so heavily dependent on partisan politicians and their governments.
Dispute settlement mechanism, according to AFCFTA, shall preserve the rights and obligations of state parties under the agreement and clarify the existing provisions of the agreement.
With the advancement of technology and semantic web, the Ghana Unity DAO, in partnership with Harmony One Vision, is working to bridge unemployment gap with its sensitization program on Web3. The move is also aimed at creating opportunities for the youth to innovate ways to establish their own businesses. There's more in the following report.
Semantic Web, known popularly as Web3, is an extension of the World Wide Web through standards set by the World Wide Web Consortium. The goal of the semantic web is to make internet data machine readable. At a panel discussion hosted by the Ghana Unity DAO, a digital native of entrepreneurs delved into how Africans can take advantage of the introduction of Web3 at all sectors. Here is the head of governor for Ghana Unity DAO, Del Titus Bewa.
So Web3, in simple sense, is the next phase of the internet, right? In every industry, things go through cycles. We are at a precipice where the internet is going through another cycle. In many industries, I feel that Africa as a whole missed out. And so as a passionate African, I think it's important that our people get to know these things. And that's why I personally have made a push alongside my partners to see how we can basically introduce and educate people on Web3. Ghana Unity DAO is basically a resource. It's an incubator for people in this space. The youth is the targeted market. It does not mean that people that are not youthful cannot be targeted, but what it does mean is that we feel the youth are the most precious aspect of our civilization on the continent, and we need to empower them.
Speaking at the event, co-founder of Harmony One, Ziwang, emphasized the need for Web3 in Ghana.
This question can be answered in the thing about inputs and outputs. In terms of inputs, I think Africa and Ghana specifically have tremendous amount of vitality in terms of youth, the population, natural resources, and also culture. But the output there is actually the bridge, which is Web3. The idea there is for Web3 to actually create a true economic engine that's about wealth creation. But on the other side, the output, the bridge on the other side is about ownership. How do you enable millions of youth, the millions of participants in Web3, to have a true sense of ownership in the wealth they're creating?
The semantic web provides a common framework that allows data to be shared and reused across applications, enterprises, and community boundaries. It is a collaborative effort led by W3C with participation from a large number of researchers and industrial players.
That's all for business. We have more business news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is sports.